15 incredibly lucky valuable finds. Number 15. Chinese Liberation Cup. An Australian thrift shopper enthusiast was making the rounds at the local used stores in Sydney when a strange hand-carved cup captured their attention. The shopper bought the flower-carved cup for $4 and began examination immediately. After research and hiring a specialist in Asian art, the piece was deemed 17th century, carved from a rhinoceros horn, and was called a Chinese Liberation Cup. The rare find sold at auction for $75,000 Australian. Number 14. Frankenstein movie poster. This valuable find was hidden away inside a boarded-over projection booth until Stephen Wilkin, attempting to remodel the old Long Island Theater in the 1970s, discovered the classic 3-sheet movie poster from 1931. This is the only 6-foot version of the Universal horror classic movie poster believed to still exist. The Frankenstein movie poster was sold at an auction in Texas and collected a price of $358,000 American. Number 13. Flemish painting. An 81-year-old former antique dealer found a painting of a classic still life at a local South Carolina Goodwill store. He purchased the artwork for $3 and then returned home with it. His stepdaughter became enthralled with the piece and asked permission to take the find to the Broadcasting of Antique Roadshow. The painting was dated back to 1650. It was attributed to a workshop in Amsterdam as a still life proper from a nearly forgotten Flemish art school. The appraiser set the value between $10,000 and $30,000. And then, at an auction at Massachusetts, the painting sold for $190,000 American. Number 12. James Bond watch. A watch collector roaming through an English car boot sale, which is a swap market where items are sold out of the trunks of cars. He found a watch which looked quite similar to the wrist ornament Sean Connery wore in the James Bond film Thunderball. He paid £25 for the timepiece. After authentication, the watch was praised by many collectors, as the timepiece has been missing in action since the film wrap production. This 1965 wristwatch was specifically modded, as it was equipped with a counter to detect radiation. The esteemed timepiece fetched a whopping £160,000 at auction. Number 11. Vince Lombardi sweater. A couple from Tennessee who sell vintage clothing online was thrift store shopping in North Carolina when they stumbled upon a West Point sweater. They purchased the piece of clothing for 58 cents. While inspecting the sweater, an inscription of Lombardi 46 was found on the tag. They disregarded the handwritten name and returned home. Later, during the documentary about the Pro Football Hall of Fame coach, Vince Lombardi, the connection began to take shape. After authentication through examination of the stitch work and fabrics, the sweater was deemed the real deal. In a New York City auction, the sweater sold for a whopping $43,000 American. Number 10. Velvet Underground demo. Warren Hill was visiting New York City from his native home, Montreal, when he stumbled upon a record sidewalk sale. Inside the frail confines of the records was an old copy of the first album from the Andy Warhol-produced band, The Velvet Underground. Warren purchased the classic record, entitled The Velvet Underground and Nico, for 75 cents. While listening to the record at home, Warren realized the version was slightly different from the one that he is used to. His newly purchased vinyl was actually a rare EP demo, which the group cut from Columbia Records in April of 1966, and is the only known copy of that recording session. The record found its way to eBay, where it fetched $25,000. Number 9. 18th century card table. A New Jersey school teacher purchased an antique card table at a local yard sale for $25 and positioned the piece in her home. After retiring, the woman was hard at work at some spring cleaning when she rediscovered the old table. The card table had been sitting in her home for 30 years, but now, as she took a closer look, the antique was really quite stunning. She took the table to the PBS live recording of Antiques Roadshow, where it was dated back to the 18th century and valued at $200,000 to $300,000. After placing the table on auction, the final bid came to $541,000 American. Number 8. Egyptian bronze cat. After an elderly family member died, the family had a huge yard sale and tried to get rid of the no longer needed belongings. After the sale, they decided to throw away what they deemed worthless. David Lay, who had been hired to help clear away the empty home, pulled the statue out of the trash and took the bronze kitty home. After some research, David brought the cat in to be authenticated by an expert at a British museum. The bronze kitty was dated back to approximately 700 to 500 BC, the 26th Egyptian dynasty. After an auction, the bronze cat fetched 52,000 euros. Number 7. Viking Hoard. A semi-retired businessman was out with his son in England for a stroll with their twin metal detectors when they discovered a whole hoard of lost Viking treasure. Buried under the earth was a gilt silver vessel lined with gold. Inside the casing were 617 silver coins and 65 pieces of jewelry and precious metal fragments. The coins date back to the 10th century. There was also a gold necklace and gold armring, both believed to have belonged to a Viking nobility. After a £1,082,000 appraisal, the hoard was jointly purchased by the York Museums Trust and the British Museum. Number 6. Andy Warhol sketch. A British businessman named Andy Fields purchased a bundle of child's drawings at a Las Vegas yard sale for $5. One of the sketches featured a portrait of American 1930s singer named Rudy Vallee and a signature by Andy Warhol. The previously unknown artwork from the legend of pop art himself is believed to have been etched when the artist was around 10 years old, while he was on bed rest recovering from a bout with cholera. The sketch has been appraised to a value of $2.4 million. Buy it now on eBay's United Kingdom website, on sale for only $2 million. Number 5. Gold bars. Nick Mead, a British military enthusiast, was cruising through military vehicles for sale on eBay when he spotted an Iraqi tank for £30,000. Nick's mechanic, Todd Chamberlain, was investigating the diesel-fueled tank, hoping for old guns, but instead discovered 5 gold bricks with an estimated value of £2 million. As Todd removed the golden bars, his eyes lit up and he exclaimed, "It's better than finding puppies." The two phoned the police, who confiscated the gold for an investigation and left Nick with a receipt. The golden loot will be stored in a safety deposit box in London until the authorities complete their investigation. The pair are hopeful, but are doubtful they'll ever see the gold again. Number 4. Martin Heed painting. An employee at the Indiana store called Tool and Die spent $30 on some old furniture and an aged painting of some flowers. The employee fitted the furniture to his living room and adjusted the painting of flowers to conceal a hole in the wall. A few years later, over a board game called Masterpiece, he noticed one of the playing cards featured the painting of flowers, similar to the one adorning his wall. The artist was Martin Johnson Heed. He collected his painting and went to the Kennedy Galleries in Manhattan, which have a large collection of Heed's work, and he asked if the American still life painter could be the artist. Turns out that the flowers that covered the hole in his wall were indeed made by Heed. The painting, called Magnolias on Gold Velvet Cloth, was purchased by the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston for $1.2 million American. Number 3. Song Dynasty Ceramic Bowl. A family from New York was out rummage sailing one weekend. While shopping at a local garage sale, a white bowl caught the couple's eye. The family purchased the ceramic receptacle for $3 and placed the decorative bowl in their kitchen. After 6 years and several complaints, the family had the bowl appraised. Turns out the ceramic bowl had originated in northern China during the Song Dynasty. The appraiser estimated the worth to be between $200,000 to $300,000. The family placed the bowl up for auction, where it was sold for a whopping $2.2 million. Number 2. Declaration of Independence. A man bought a tattered painting in a Pennsylvania flea market for $4 because he wanted the frame. After removing the painting, he discovered that the frame was chipped and too old to be salvaged. But buried inside the backing, a folded piece of paper was found. The paper was one of the original 500 copies issued of the Declaration of Independence, meant for the 13 colonies. The paper was one of the original 500 copies issued of the Declaration of Independence, meant for the 13 colonies. There are only 24 known copies of the Declaration in existence. The national treasure was auctioned off for $2,420,000. 9 years later, it was sold for $8.14 million. Number 1. Tudor bed frame. Builders renovating a building in England found an old antique bed frame. After dismantling the oak furniture, they discarded the pieces in a nearby car park. Auctioneers sold off the bed frame to a collector for £2,200. The four-poster bed frame was listed as a 19th century Gothic revival, but after further inspection, the Victorian bed was actually the only surviving Tudor bed. The Tudors was a British royalty back in the 15th century, including the infamous Henry VIII. In an effort to prove the authenticity of the item, several tests were done, only to discover DNA from Henry VII inside the wood, which was dated back to 1486. The bed is currently on display in the Long Gallery of Kent, England, and is estimated to be worth £20 million. So which one was your favorite? Leave your comment down below. While you're at it, wreck that subscribe button. See you in the next Dynamite TV video.